Hello and welcome. My name is Ellen Estelle, and today I'm going to be showing you how to sew Simplicity S8047. Now, as you can see, my pattern envelope is pretty full. It's an amazing fit pattern that comes in different length variations, as well as petite sizing and bust cup sizing. So this pattern calls for crepe, crepe de chine, pique, satin, or silky types. The over bodice here also calls for either a dotted Swiss, double Georgette, or lace. So if you haven't already, I would go and watch my Chicago fabric haul, and then you would understand why this lace means so much to me. This fabric is a cotton twill that I got from S.R. Harris in a really pretty kind of pink mauve color. It's great for pressing, so I use this because it has so many princess seams and I want it to look nice and crisp. I also chose not to do any top stitching because I wanted it to be kind of clean and simple. So then I also did a blind hem here. Since my lace did have scallop edges, I chose to use that for the bodice and for the sleeves. The neckline has a facing, as well as the armholes. I did choose to omit the armhole facing, however, because I did end up putting on the sleeves and I just found that it was unnecessarily bulky. On the back here, you can see that I matched up my scallop edges, and I also sewed in this over bodice. So the original pattern does say to leave this top piece open and free and not to sew it into the zipper, but because I did use a lace instead of the self fabric, I wanted to make the edges nice and clean. I didn't want any of the raw edges folded under. Very minimal seams with this over bodice, just the side seam, the armhole, and then the darts on the front. The pattern does have a center back zipper here. I love this dress for spring. I think it's super cute. It's flattering. It's very girly and feminine. You'll notice that the sleeves I chose to shorten a couple of inches. Since I'm not having them, I wanted them to be a little bit shorter so that it wasn't so horizontal across my body and it wouldn't make me look quite as wide with the shorter sleeves. Obviously I was using the scallop edge, so I wanted to make sure I did that as I was cutting up my over bodice instead of after the fact. So keep watching to learn more. First, I start out by cutting out my pattern pieces from my fashion fabric. Notice how I'm lining up the scallop edge with the bottom of my over bodice piece, as well as folding the fabric and cutting the front and back on the fold. The back piece will be cut along the fold when you're done, but this will help when matching up the scallops for the center back. Like I mentioned, I did shorten the sleeve by 2 inches. This was done by measuring the 2 inches with my ruler and lining up the fabric edges to this line. Now I'm going to pin my front bodice pieces together at the center front seam, and then pin the side front, side back, and center back bodice pieces together. Sew each seam at 5/8 of an inch, finish the raw edges, and press the seams towards the center back. It should look like this when you're done. Pinning the shoulders together, try on the dress inside out to pin the excess fabric out when using these seams to evenly distribute the excess fabric. Make sure to sew your over bodice darts first. Press these darts down. Then, take the over bodice and match up the side seams. Sew at 5/8 of an inch and finish the raw edges. Next, match up your sleeves along the edges and sew at 5/8 of an inch. Finish the raw edges and press the seams towards the back like this. Repeat for the other sleeve. Then, take one of your armhole facing pieces and fold it in half. Sew this edge together at 5/8 of an inch, finish and press the seam allowance. Then, fold this piece in half lengthwise and press flat like this. Repeat for the other one. Now, take your neckline facing and match up the shoulder seams like this. Sew, finish, and press towards the back. Next, take your overbodice and lay it with wrong sides to the right side of your dress and baste these two fabrics together along the front and back necklines, center back seam, and armholes. You do not need to base stitch the shoulder seams. Then match up your shoulder seams with right sides together, sew, finish, and press the seams. Next, you can sew in your sleeves by matching up the notches. Use a basting stitch to help you ease in your sleeves into the armhole by pulling along the bottom thread to tighten. Note that this sleeve should not have any gathers or puckers when sewn. Work the sleeve in with this method and by clipping the curves of your armhole. Next, you can sew in your armhole facing if you wish by matching up the raw edges and sew about 3/8 of an inch. Finish the raw edge and sew a line of top stitching all along the facing in order to secure and hide raw edges. Or omit the armhole facing and serge the raw edges. Then, pin the neckline facing to the neckline with right sides together. Notice how I finished the raw edge of the neckline facing. I used a serger, but you can fold under and sew the raw edge. Sew it 5/8 of an inch, finish the raw edges, and press the seam flat. Sew a line of top stitching as close to the folded edge as possible. Then, all you have to do is insert the invisible zipper to the center back seam. Fold in and sew the raw edge of the neckline facing once you've sewn in the zipper. Then, fold under your hem with the raw edge enclosed. To help ease the extra fabric, sew a basting stitch along the bottom edge and pull on the bottom thread. This will help when sewing on a curve. And there you have it! Simplicity S8047 is a pretty quick and easy dress made to look professionally tailored with the help of the princess seams. Be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time!